this slide we are going to detail about the part 2 about the CAN protocol. So in the CAN protocol we have actually prepared in the part 1, so what is CAN protocol and types of frames we have, and what is dominant and what is recessive, so standard frame and extended frame. So now we are going to start with the part 2. So as we know already, CAN protocol is a broadcasting, and it is a broadcasting announce message, so receiving and transmitting will be happen vice versa. So coming to the CAN transceiver, so how this filtering will be happen. For example, if I am having set of standard frame IDs like around 10 and another set of 20 standard frame extended frame identifiers, so when I send these two frames into the bus, it will wins the arbitration based on the lowest message identifier having the highest priority. So here if you see, filtering concept will be comes into the picture. Okay, so that is a one concept. And another thing is like whenever we have seen any CAN hardware type, so CAN hardware CAN transceiver, so this structure will be there. So here we are going to see the all the features like CAN protocol and what is the voltage levels we have, and everything we can see in this slide too. So first and the most important thing is CAN synchronization and bit timing. So what is bit timing or bit stuffing? So if you see, the CAN protocol is intelligently insert the stuffs a bit of the opposite polarity into the frame. So if a continuous series of bits with the same polarity, so if it's exceed 5 in a number, then bit stuffing will be happen. For example, so if a frame consists of 8 consecutive bits like 0, and the CAN protocol will force to transmit the stuff as a recessive bit after the fifth consecutive bit as a dominant automatically. So this will follows the ISO standards only. Based on the ISO only, the everything was set up the rules, so we should follow those sequence only. If you see this above bit sequence to be transmitted from the any time, if you see starter frame consists of the 0 only, then only the frame communication will be happen. So if you see these bits like how it's flowing, so everything will be sequentially. If you see, this is the normal transmitting, and whenever doing the bit stuffing, this will be opposite polarity need to do. And this is the receiver side. If you see in this receiver side, 0, it's a starter frame, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and the sequence order will be also changed in the D stuffing. Next, the node transmitting a frame will be automatically stuff bits if required. The node receiving the frame will automatically destuff the bits, thereby the returning the frame into the original form. So why bit stuffing is required? So the basic thing is bit stuffing is required because CAN follows the NRZ theorem. So I think everyone knows, and it's non-return to 0. So CAN never falls the 0.00 voltage. It will falls down to 0.001 volts. So this theory will be very important. If anyone will ask the interviewer question like will CAN fall down to 0 voltage? No, it will falls down to 0.01 volts. So we said that a bit is made with the time quanta like bit timing and everything, right? So each bit should be have a minimum 8 time quanta to maximum 24 quanta. And we also know that by manipulating the time quantum, we can neglect the phase shifts or mismatches in the timing of the frames received from the different nodes. So all these things mentioned in the above to achieve the synchronization between the two nodes, because of which one transmit and receive frame successfully. So if you see the edge, without edge there is no reference point, and without a reference point there is no way to synchronization can takes. And if you see, the frame has a large number of sequence bits that are either a dominant or recessive. There is a long gap before the edge appearance. So the successive recessive bits consist of the 1, and the long successive dominant will consist of the 0. If you see the gap, you can come to know easily. So these long gaps through the synchronization mechanism into the complete confusion. In order to avoid these edges, it introduced after regular intervals. In a can, an edge is introduced of if 5 successive bits of the same polarity are present in the frame by inserting a bit. That's the reason opposite bit will be like fifth after the sixth will be the opposite one. So that bit stuffing will be happen smoothly, and functionality of the synchronization process will be known easily. So this is about the overview of that can be timing and all. So coming to the error handling. So the most important topics is can errors and types of errors are there. So in generally we already discussed in the part 1 session, like can is having the feature called error handling and error correction. So how it will be handle this error. So all nodes listen to any message being transmitted into the bus. So already the point we know, can message ID or can protocol is a broadcast announce message. So in the broadcast announce message, everyone can listen and all. The transmitting nodes to listening its own message while transmitting into the bus. So if you see message validation, how it will be happen. A transmitter, a frame is a valid for a transmitter if there is no error till end of the frame. And the similar way receiver also will. A frame is a valid for a receiver if there is no error till last but one bit of the end of the frame. Next, so error detections. So how it this can error detect, where it will be detect. It will be detects in the bit stuffing, frame checking, 15 bits redundancy check, and acknowledgement field. These main fields will verify the can error detection. Next, coming to the how many types of errors are there in a can. So we have a bit error, stuff error, foam error, CRC error, and acknowledgement error. We'll go one by one. What is bit error? A node that is transmitting a frame listen its to own frame on the bus. For example, if a node sends the sequence 0 11 00 11 00 but on the bus it sees like 0 11 00 1 00 0 11. So a bit is occurred. So you can see where this bit is occurred. That is your, you have to verify and get to know. An error frame is sent on the bus, and that frame bit's error will be ignored by all the nodes. So coming to the stuff error. If a frame consists of the following bit sequence, then according to the bit stuffing rule, it should be a recessive bit instead of the fifth dominant bit. So bit stuffing is done automatically by CAN controller, but for some reasons if doesn't happen, stuff error will occurs. An error frame is then sent on the bus frame that with the stuff error is ignored by all the nodes. Coming to the foam error. What is foam error? So the CRC delimiter and acknowledgement delimiter and end of the frame consist of always one. So for example, all the predefined fields as consist of independent, like starter frame consists of 0 and bus idle and so they have some set of bits will be allocated as a mandatory as a 1, means recessive. So if those will be changed from recessive to dominant, then foam error will takes place. Here if you see, if a dominant bit is detected in any of these, a foam error has taken place. Why? Because CRC delimiter is having recessive, ACK delimiter is having recessive, end of the frame also consists of the recessive bits. If among these three fields, if any of the frame consists of the 0, then it will throws the foam error. An error frame is sent onto the bus, and the frame within the foam error is ignored by all the nodes. You can see here CRC delimiter, ACK field, ACK slot, and ACK delimiter and end of the frame. EOF consists of the end of the frame. Next, coming to the CRC error. So what is CRC? Cyclic redundancy check. So the CRC value is 15 bits long. This value is automatically calculated by the transmitting and receiving the nodes. If a CRC value of the frame calculated by the transmitting are different values from the frame, it's like converting and calculating the CRC error and occurred in the frame. So this CRC calculation mainly uses the polynomial theorem. So based on that polynomial calculation, so the CRC calculation will be happen. You can go through in online also what is polynomial theorem is thing is used in the CAN protocol. Next, so it's a very simple one, acknowledgement error. So as we discussed, a transmitting node keeps the value of acknowledgement slot as a recessive. A receiving node on successfully reception of the message changes the value to acknowledgement slot to dominant. So if it's failed to this acknowledgement error has occurred, an error frame can be sent to the bus and that acknowledgement error is ignored by the all the nodes. So this will be triggers here. Next, error frames. So if you see how these error frames will be identified, it is made up of with two fields. One is error flag field and error delimiter field. So error flag, it contains of the 6 to 12 bits, and error delimiter, it contains the 8 bits. So an error can occur during the transmission. A count of is kept these error by the counter called as TEC, means transmit error counter. An error count during the reception means receiving side. So a count is kept on this error by the counter called REC. So we call it as receiver error count. We can see this will be in the next slide easily, like how many types of errors we have. So the count value in the transmission error count and receiving error count must be maintained between the certain count limit that is predefined by the CAN protocol. So who predefined means who was developed these predefined things means it will follow the ISO. So who was set up this CAN protocol bus to introduce, they have predefined these error counts. So depending upon the counts value present in the transmitting error count and receiver error count, so each node can have three following states. One is active error state, passive error state, and bus off state. You can see here active error, passive error, and bus off state in the next slide. So coming to the active error state, all the nodes on the bus should be in an active error state for normal transmission and the reception frame. If any given node has less than 128 count in its transmitting error count and receiving error count, then it is a active error. Next, coming to the passive error, if any given node has greater than 127 and less than 256 count, then it throws the transmitting error count. So we call it as the passive error state. Next, coming to the bus of error state. So if the given node has more than 256 count and the transmitter error count goes into the bus of state. In the bus of state, the given node not allowed to transmit or receive any more onto the bus until behind the excessive error generation has been identified and rectified. So if on of sudden it will exceeded more than 255, so how can you send back to its original frame, means how can you recover back to this normal frame communication? You need to send 11 recessive bit till 128 times. That will be sent by automatically. That's the reason we have the feature called error handling and error correction in the CAN protocol. Next, if you see the error states, like how it will be, so we can also see in this diagram. So transmitting error count is less than 125, so it call it as the active error, and if the transmitting counter is greater than 255 and less than 255, then it is a passive error, and the transmission count is greater than 255, then it goes to the bus of error. So coming back to the error frames again, so error active state, like error flag and error delimiter, these two concepts we have seen in the previous slides. If an error occurs while a node, the error active state, then the error flag will consist of the 6 consecutive dominant bits. The error delimiter will consist of the 8 consecutive recessive bits. So you can see in the below. Next, what is passive active state then here? The error flag will consist of the 6 consecutive recessive bit, and error delimiter will consist of the 8 consecutive recessive bits. Next, coming to the overload frame. So as of now we have discussed the types of error and error state flow diagram and about the CAN protocol. Now this is the overload frame. It's generated due to the two conditions. If the receiver is not yet ready to receive the next frame, and the name itself only we have overload frame. If the node detects a dominant bit during the transmission, and intermission consists of the 3 bits, all of this among recessive at the all time. So as mentioned earlier, an intermission frame is present between the successive data and RTR frame. So this is about the overload frame, and overload frame is similar to the error frame, like overload error flag and overload delimiter field. So it consists of the same 6 to 12 bits, and overload delimiter consists of the 8 bits. Yeah. Next, coming to the physical layer and data link layer, if you see the OSI model, so you can come to know this is the CAN bus, like how we can connect. So in generally I will give the brief about the physical layer. So it consists of the pair of twisted wire. CAN consist of the twisted wire only, because it will reduce the electrical impedance and noise reduction. So one wire carries the CAN high signal and another wire carries the CAN low signal. So if you see the twisted pair, how it will be looks like this. So because to reduce the noise and electrical impedance, because CAN runs on the voltage levels, right? So that's the reason we have used the twisted pair wires. Next, if you see the physical layer, like the difference between the CAN high voltage and CAN low voltage less than 0.5 for the recessive, the difference of the CAN high and CAN low voltage greater than 0.9 voltage and less than 3.5 volts, this resulting the bit dominant. So here the voltage levels are represented clearly. So recessive dominant, and so whenever the dominant only the difference voltage level, then only the transmission will be happen. V difference for CAN low and CAN high. Highlighted red is represents the CAN high, and highlighted blue represents the CAN low. Yeah, this is the electrical waveform traveling from bus. So in these areas the transmission will be happen. So this is about the overview of the CAN part 2, like types of errors. We have bit error, stuff error, CRC, ACK, and error state flow diagram and bit timing. So all these things we have discussed. So if you want more information about the interview questions and all, we'll see in the part 3. So in that part 3, so the topics which is covered all the presentation, I have made one questions, so and with respect to that answers also available in that. So that will give the overview of the complete CAN protocol. So thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day.